taught you to obey the rules of the physical, of time, of struggle, of scarcity. They told you reality is hard, that change is slow, that some people just have it, and some never will. But what if I told you everything you see around you is just a reflection of your frequency? What if I told you the walls that trap you, the circumstances that crush you, the pain you carry, aren't chains, but echoes of your own unconscious broadcast? Because you're transmitting 24/7, even when you sleep, even when you say nothing, even when you feel broken. You are a walking radio tower, and your life is the reception. Don't believe me? Look at your results. Look at your money. Look at your relationships. Look at your body, your thoughts, your habits. They're not random. They're the precise output of your current signal. And here's the dark truth. They're not just keeping you distracted. They're keeping you out of tune, scrolling, doubting, worrying, consuming everything that lowers your vibration and locks you into the frequency of fear, lack, and limitation. Because they know, if you ever tuned in, truly tuned in, you'd become untouchable. You wouldn't need permission. You wouldn't need validation. You wouldn't even need their systems. Because you'd realize the game was never outside. It was always internal. It was always frequency. Master the frequency, and you master the field. This isn't about positive thinking. This isn't about wishful affirmations. This is about energetic warfare. This is about commanding your inner state with such intensity that the universe is forced to recalibrate to match your power. Because the quantum field doesn't respond to words. It responds to identity. It responds to state. It responds to the version of you that you embody, not the one you hope for. So ask yourself right now, are you living as the architect or the echo? Are you waking up with conviction or reacting like a leaf in the wind? Are your thoughts aligned with abundance and creation, or chained to survival, doubt, and replaying old wounds? Let's be clear. You cannot lie to the field. You cannot fake alignment. You cannot manifest freedom while embodying fear. So here's your choice. Stay in the cage, safe, predictable, slowly dying. Or awaken the warrior, the one that dares to override biology with belief, the one that rewires trauma with truth, the one that decides to vibrate at the level of power, wealth, health, and love before the evidence shows up. Because when you become the signal, you no longer chase, you attract. You no longer beg, you command. You no longer hope, you know. So stop waiting. Breathe deeper. Visualize with blood-pumping intensity. Feel the future version of you now. Act as if you already are the one. And watch the quantum field bend to your will. They'll call it delusion. They'll call it fake. Until the results are undeniable. And by then, you'll be too far ahead to care. Your life is not random. It is a mirror. A direct reflection of the frequency you've been unconsciously transmitting. But if you're ready to stop reacting, if you're ready to stop living in echo loops and start building signal towers, then it's time to take control. This isn't theory. This is a system, a process, a war plan for those who refuse to die ordinary. If you want to collapse time, if you want to shift reality at the level of energy, identity, and outcome, then follow these 7 phases. From dream to dominance. Let's begin. Phase 1. Ideation. Craft the blueprint of your higher reality. This is where it all begins, but not with action, with vision, and not just any vision. Yours. Raw, unfiltered, undeniable. Before anything manifests in your external world, it's born in the forge of your internal mind. That's the eternal law of reality. Inner first, outer second. But here's the truth they won't tell you. Most people don't have a vision. They have programming. They wake up, scroll through someone else's life, absorb someone else's energy, chase someone else's goals, and then they wonder why their reality feels lifeless, scripted, gray. Why their soul is whispering, "This isn't it." No, it's not. Because you never asked yourself the real question. What life would I build if I feared nothing? If no trauma held me? If no failure haunted me? If no one else's voice echoed in my skull? You must ask this, and you must ask it with brutal honesty. Because until you do, you're living someone else's dream. Or worse, a dead man's loop. So we start here, in the silence, in the stillness, where the noise of the world fades and the whisper of your truth begins to speak. Sit with yourself, no distractions, no masks, and let the images come. Don't force them. Let them emerge like a tide breaking through the crust of your conditioning. What kind of world do you see? What kind of power do you feel in your bones when you close your eyes and envision your peak? What does your body look like? Where do you live? Who stands beside you, if anyone? What kind of work bleeds purpose from your soul into the world? Don't just think it. Feel it. Feel it so deeply, it starts to haunt you like a beautiful ghost. Because when a vision haunts you, you'll stop at nothing to bring it into form. But beware, this step is dangerous. Because once you truly see your higher reality, you'll never be able to unsee it. Comfort will die, excuses will rot, and the version of you that settled for just okay will become a corpse you can't return to. That's good. That's necessary. Because the dream life isn't found. It's architected, brick by mental brick, emotion by emotion, intention by intention. And the blueprint isn't a to-do list. It's a frequency map. It's the encoded energy signature of your future life. The more detailed, vivid, and emotionally charged it becomes, the stronger the signal you begin to transmit into the quantum field. So don't just write goals. Create visions. Visions soaked in emotion, infused with identity, powered by intention. Write down your ideal day in ruthless detail. Wake-up time, surroundings, smells, textures, the work you do, the people you serve, the kind of power you radiate without even speaking. Not someday, not maybe. Now, because when the blueprint is clear, the field has no choice but to respond. This isn't fantasy. This is alignment. Remember this. Vague intentions create vague results, but laser-focused vision creates inevitability. So lock in. Because without this blueprint, every other phase collapses. You'll fall into distraction, doubt, and inconsistency. You'll chase things that don't belong to your soul. But with this vision, every step after this becomes magnetic. Each move you make begins pulling the future towards you like gravity. Because reality cannot resist a signal that is clear, emotional, and consistent. This is where your real life begins. Now, burn the lies. Reject the limits. Pick up the pen of creation and write the goddamn script yourself. The blueprint is yours. Craft it with vision. Fuel it with hunger. And soon, you'll live it with fire. Phase 2. Observation. Become hyper-conscious of your current broadcast. You've built the blueprint. You've seen the higher reality. But here's the truth you can't avoid. You can't build heaven on hell's foundation. And right now, you're broadcasting trash. That's not an insult. That's a revelation. Because every second, whether you know it or not, you're sending out a signal into the quantum field. Not with your words, not with your intentions, but with your state, your emotions, your frequency of being. And the universe? It's not listening to what you say. It's listening to what you are. That's why we observe. Because you can't rewire what you refuse to recognize. This phase is war. Not against the world. Against your own autopilot. You must become a cold, surgical observer of yourself. Watch your thoughts. Track your moods. Analyze your emotional baseline like a general inspecting a battlefield. Ask yourself, what's the first thought I have when I wake up? What story do I repeat in my head when I face resistance? Where does my energy collapse throughout the day? What triggers make me feel small, angry, afraid, ashamed? Who am I around when I feel like I'm shrinking? Because every pattern is a program, and every program is a frequency loop. And here's the twisted part. Most of your loops don't even belong to you. They were installed by childhood wounds, by media manipulation, by generational fear, by people who settled for mediocrity and taught you to do the same. But here's your liberation. Once you see the code, you can change it. So start tracking everything. Not once a week. Every day. Journal your thoughts. Notice your reactions. Feel your emotional spikes. And then ask yourself, is this signal aligned with the life I say I want? If the answer is no, you know where to attack. Because this isn't just self-awareness. This is strategic intelligence. This is reconnaissance in the battlefield of your own mind. You must become a ruthless witness to your own inner world. Not with judgment, with precision. Because when you observe without reaction, you start to see the difference between the real you and the one built by fear. You begin to separate yourself from the echo. And in that separation, you reclaim your power. Let's go deeper. When you're triggered, don't just feel it. Track it. Where in your body does the tension live? What belief does it reveal? Where did that belief originate? Who gave it to you? And why are you still worshiping it? You want a new life? Then stop letting ghosts write your broadcast. Because every thought you entertain, every emotion you indulge, every subconscious loop you ignore, is a prayer to the quantum field. And prayers are answered, even if you don't like what shows up. So from this moment forward, no more unconscious transmissions, no more mental sleepwalking, no more hiding from your own data. You must stalk yourself like a hunter in the woods, relentless, silent, watching. Because the more you observe, the more your patterns start to glitch. And when they glitch, you can reprogram. This is how you shift your frequency from slave to sovereign, from chaos to clarity, from static to signal. So observe everything, until the lies start screaming, until the truth starts rising, until your old broadcast is exposed, dissected, and dismantled. Only then will you be ready to tune into a frequency worth transmitting. Observation isn't passive. It's power. It's presence. It's the foundation of quantum transformation. You've seen the dream. Now look at the distortion. See it. Name it. Burn it. Because if you don't become aware of the signal you're sending, you'll keep receiving a life that feels like a betrayal, and you'll think that's just fate. No. It's feedback. So step into the role of the observer. Track the ghost code. And prepare to shatter it all in Phase 3. Phase 3. Cleansing. Cut what lowers you. Ruthlessly. Now that you've seen the blueprint of your higher reality, now that you've tracked the broadcast you're unconsciously transmitting, it's time to go to war. Not with your enemies, with your anchors. Because here's the dark truth you need to hear. Your dream life is not far away. It's just blocked, clogged, contaminated by what you continue to tolerate. And tolerance is slow suicide. You cannot vibrate at the frequency of abundance while feeding off scarcity. You cannot broadcast power while sleeping next to weakness. You cannot become the future you if you keep dragging corpses from the past. So now we cleanse, ruthlessly, with no apologies, no hesitation, no delay. This is not a detox. This is a purge. Start with the people. Who drains you? Who manipulates you with guilt? Who celebrates your wounds but fears your rise? Cut them. Not gradually. Not when it's convenient. Not after you talk it out. One more time. Cut them. Now because your soul already knows. You've known for years. You're just afraid to lose what's familiar. But let me ask you, how many more years are you willing to trade for their comfort? How many dreams are you willing to bury just to keep the peace? How long will you breathe in poison just to avoid the silence of healing? It's not just people. It's habits, scroll loops, low-value food, weak language, porn gossip, alcohol, the fake dopamine that keeps your frequency flickering like a dying light bulb. Every time you reach for those things, you're confirming to the quantum field, I am not ready for more. And the field listens. It always listens. So when you cut deep. You clean the roots. You confront the part of yourself that likes being dragged down. The part of you addicted to struggle, addicted to sabotage, addicted to the story that it's not time yet. That part has to die. Right now. Before it kills you in slow motion. Let's talk about environments. Your room, your house, your city. Are they aligned with your dream identity? Or do they scream apathy and decay? If your space is dirty, chaotic, lifeless, guess what that reflects? Your mind. And if your outer world is choking your signal, you're not manifesting, you're leaking. Clean it, redesign it, create an altar to your higher frequency. Because when you walk through your home, your energy should rise, not retreat. And now for the final cut. The old version of you. Yes, you've tolerated this identity far too long. The one who overthinks, the one who waits for permission, the one who dreams big but moves small. It's time to bury that version. Mourn it, honor it, but kill it. That's not self-hatred. That's sacred execution. Because only when you kill what no longer serves, can you give birth to what does. Look, this phase will feel brutal. You'll feel like you're losing everything. But what you're really losing is the weight you were never meant to carry. You are not ascending. You're shedding. And in that shedding, the light returns. The signal strengthens. The field opens. So stop saying one day. Stop saying soon. Stop saying I know I should. You either cleanse or you decay. You either cut or you bleed. You either choose power or be consumed by patterns. There is no middle. Not here. Not in this phase. This is where the fake fall off. This is where your excuses die. This is where your frequency rises. Not with affirmations, but with action. So cut it. Burn it. Starve it. Delete it. Block it. Quit it. Confront it. Whatever it is, if it's lowering you, it's lying to you. And if you keep it, you become it. In the quantum field, it doesn't respond to your desires. It responds to your standards. So raise them. Now your future self is waiting on the other side of what you're afraid to let go of. Cut. rise, transcend. Phase 4 begins when the smoke clears. Phase 4, calibration. Align your state with the future. You've purged the noise. You've cut the weight. You've burned the rot. Now comes the moment that separates the drifters from the architects. Calibration. This is where you become the signal. Not by hoping, not by begging, but by locking into the state of your future self and refusing to break. Here's the secret most never understand. The life you want doesn't come after you become that person. It comes because you become that person. First, it's not about faking it. It's about embodying it. Because the quantum field doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are, energetically, emotionally, neurologically. So ask yourself with ruthless intensity, how does the future me think, walk, speak, breathe, move, feel, and then do it? Now today, before the money comes, before the body changes, before the recognition, before the evidence, because that's the only way the evidence shows up. You must calibrate your entire system, your thoughts, your posture, your routines, your tone, to the version of you that already lives the life you're calling in. You must become the storm before the clouds even form. This is identity engineering at the highest level, not surface changes, not shallow upgrades, but a core frequency shift. The way you speak to yourself, flip it. From doubt to dominance. From I hope to I already am. Your inner voice is the metronome of your external life. If it stutters, your results will glitch. If it hesitates, your path will delay. So replace every thought of fear with focused direction. Replace what if I fail with what will I build next? This is more than mindset. This is state management. You must learn to hold a higher frequency regardless of what your senses report. Because the field bends not to your circumstances, but to your emotional consistency. Your nervous system is the signal. Train it. Visualize daily, not passively, but viscerally. Smell the room you live in when you succeed. Feel the texture of the steering wheel in your dream car. Hear the conversations of people respecting your power. Don't just see it, embody it. And every cell in your body will start transmitting the future. Now, let's talk physical calibration. Your posture must reflect your power. Your eyes must burn with purpose. Your walk must command space. Even if you're broke, even if you're wounded, even if no one believes in you yet, because you believing is enough. The signal doesn't care who else sees it. It only matters if you do. This is why most fail. They think alignment is something you wait for, something that happens after success. No, you generate alignment. You choose to walk in the identity of the winner long before the finish line is built. You're not delusional, you're strategic. You're tuning the frequency before the song plays. You're dressing for the role you already own in the quantum script. This is calibration, and it's not a one-time ritual. It's a discipline. Everyday life will test your state. Unexpected bills, doubters, delays, pain. And every day your job is to return to the frequency of your future self. Not with force, but with certainty. You must learn to lock in. Lock into the energy of confidence, of wealth, of health, of sovereignty. And don't break, no matter what. If you break, you begin broadcasting from the old self. And when you do that, the field resets. The momentum dies. The outcome delays. So hold the line, no matter the storm, because the storm is the test, and your unwavering state is the answer. Remember this, reality doesn't create your identity. Your identity creates your reality. So you're not waiting for change. You're becoming the change. And once you do, reality has no choice but to catch up. You must realize there is no separation between who you are and what you receive. They are reflections, mirrors, frequency-matched twins. Calibrate your being, elevate your standard, hold the new signal, and you'll become magnetic to the life you once thought was out of reach. Because it's not out of reach, it's just on another frequency, and you're tuning into it now. Phase 5 begins when that frequency becomes unshakable. Phase 5, frequency lock. Practice emotional discipline daily. This is where most people fall. They see the vision, they cut the noise, they calibrate their energy, and for a moment, they taste it, that future, that power, that raw alignment pulsing through their veins like fire. And then life hits, something small, something stupid, a delay, a comment, a text, a fear, and just like that, they break. Back to doubt, back to worry, back to fear, back to the old signal they swore they'd outgrown. Because they never learned one thing: emotional discipline. It's not sexy, it's not flashy, it's not a 60-second hack or a 5-minute habit, but it's everything. Because the field doesn't respond to brief flashes of energy. It responds to consistent transmission. And if your frequency keeps spiking and crashing like a faulty radio, you will never stabilize the reality you desire. You must lock it in. You must train your nervous system to remain in power, no matter what. Understand this. Every emotional reaction you don't control is a broadcast you didn't choose. And what you don't choose, you'll regret. So this is your work now. Master your state. Daily. Ruthlessly. Like your life depends on it. Because it does. Let's get practical. Your morning sets the tone for the entire broadcast. So stop waking up in chaos. Stop starting your day in reaction, distraction, or addiction. Your first thoughts must be sacred. Your breath, controlled. Your mind, disciplined. Your body, engaged. You don't check in with your emotions. You command them. You don't ask, how do I feel? You declare, this is who I am today. Because if you let emotions run the show, they'll pull you back to the frequency of yesterday. And yesterday's state can't create tomorrow's reality. You must override the loop. When fear creeps in, observe it, but don't worship it. It's not truth, it's programming. And programming is optional. Use tools, breath work, movement, cold showers, gratitude drills, music that moves your soul into war mode, visualizations that make your blood burn with purpose. Don't wait to feel powerful. Induce the state. Daily, violently, repeatedly. And when life tests you, because it will, you stand tall, you slow your breath. You remember the identity you locked into in phase 4. And you refuse to flinch. That's discipline. Not controlling the world, but controlling your signal regardless of the world. Let's go deeper. Your emotions are not you. They're data, messengers, feedback. But if you mistake them for your identity, you'll spiral, you'll drop, and you'll lose days, weeks of progress in seconds. So detachment. Let fear pass like wind. Let anger burn like fire but never guide your hands. Let grief rise like a tide, but don't drown in it. This is emotional sovereignty. This is how warriors move. They feel everything, but obey nothing that weakens the signal. Because weakness is a luxury you can't afford. The field doesn't care about your excuses. It only mirrors your state. And if your state is unstable, your reality will be too. So you build rituals. Morning, midday, night. Times when you recalibrate. When you stop everything and ask, am I in alignment with the version of me that already has what I want? If the answer is no, you shift. Immediately. Aggressively. Unapologetically. This is the work. This is the path. This is the truth that gets lost in the fluff of manifestation culture. Because they told you to feel good, but they didn't teach you how to hold the frequency when you don't. And that's the edge. That's the separator. That's the fork in the road between those who visit alignment and those who live there. You will not be perfect, but you will be consistent. You will return to center again and again until your baseline becomes powerful, until confidence becomes automatic, until faith becomes default, until doubt becomes a foreign language. This is how you lock the frequency, through daily emotional warfare, not against the world, but against your own weakness. And when your signal stays strong, reality starts to shape itself around you. People treat you different. Opportunities appear faster. Money flows easier. Health aligns effortlessly. Time stretches. Not because you're lucky, but because you stopped leaking. Because you became the transmitter. Consistent. Unwavering. Untouchable. This is frequency lock. And this is the foundation of the next phase. Because once your signal holds steady, now it's time to move. Phase 6. Magnetic action. Move like you already have it. You've done the invisible work, the purge, the vision, the calibration, the frequency lock. You've turned your nervous system into a transmitter of the future. Now it's time to move, but not like before. This is not frantic motion. This is not chasing. This is magnetic action. And magnetic action is a paradox. You're not taking action because you lack. You're taking action because you already are. You move as the future self. You make decisions from the mountaintop, not the valley. This is what separates manifestation from hallucination. The quantum field responds to alignment in motion, not thoughts alone, not energy alone, but energy, embodied through behavior. If you say you want wealth, but you move like you're broke, the signal is weak. If you say you want love, but you act like you're unworthy, the signal collapses. If you say you want power, but you hesitate when it's time to lead, the field calls your bluff. Action confirms identity, and your identity is your true broadcast. Let's make it simple. If the version of you who already had it all, the money, the body, the love, the freedom, were dropped into your shoes right now, what would they do today? Would they wait? Would they overthink that next move? Would they negotiate with fear? No. They would act, not out of desperation, but with precision. Not for validation, but from knowing. That's what this phase demands. Behavior in alignment with destiny. Because most people move like slaves to their current circumstances. They check their bank account before they decide. They ask their feelings before they commit. They need a guarantee before they leap. And then they wonder why nothing shifts. Because their actions are being dictated by the past version of themselves. The version that reacts. The version that doubts. The version that still seeks permission. But you're done with that. That identity is gone. Now every move you make is a statement to the field. This is who I am. This is the life I live. Catch up. And the field does catch up. It has to, because it's governed by the law of resonance. You don't need to figure out every step. You only need to move as the version of you that already knows how this ends. And when you do, doors begin to open. People begin to notice. Obstacles collapse under the weight of your certainty, because your energy isn't 1 foot in, it's all in. No retreat, no wobble, no what if. Let's get tactical. You want to create your dream business? Then stop waiting for the perfect plan. Start building. Today. Start speaking. Start offering. Start refining. You want to shift your body? Don't research workouts for 6 hours. Go sweat. Go train. Move like someone who honors the vessel of their future. You want to change your relationships? Then communicate like someone who values their time. Draw boundaries like someone who respects their energy. Speak truth like someone who isn't afraid to be alone. Because action doesn't just create results, it creates momentum. And momentum changes your identity in real time. You think you're not ready? That's the old signal whispering its final lies. But readiness is not a feeling. It's a decision. When you move powerfully, intentionally, relentlessly, you become the embodiment of your future. Not someday. Now. And that embodiment is magnetic. People feel it. They're drawn to it. Not because you're loud or flashy or even perfect, but because you're real. Because your actions scream what most only whisper. Let me be clear. This doesn't mean burnout. This isn't grind for the sake of grind. This is aligned force. You're not moving to prove your worth. You're moving because you already know it. You're not moving to chase results. You're moving because you are the result. And that's where the power is. In motion that doesn't beg, but commands. So what's the next step? Not the perfect one. Not the one that guarantees success. The next aligned one. Take it. Without flinching. Without waiting for someone to clap for you. Without asking the world for permission. It was never qualified to give. Magnetic action is fearless. Because it's not driven by outcome. It's driven by identity. And identity moves mountains. The version of you that already has it all. They're not watching. They're working. They're building. They're becoming. So move like it's already yours. Because in the quantum realm of frequency and power, it is. Phase 7 begins when your movement becomes confirmation. Phase 7. Quantum collapse. Watch reality conform in real time. This is it. The final turn. You've done what few ever will. You silenced the noise. You burned the dead weight. You rewired your mind. You locked in your frequency. You moved like the outcome was already guaranteed. And now, it begins. The quantum field for the first time has no choice but to respond. Not because it favors you, not because you got lucky, but because reality is a slave to alignment. And when your frequency becomes stable, when your energy, thoughts, actions, and identity broadcast the same coherent signal day after day, the field collapses into form. That's not philosophy. That's physics. That's law. The law you were never taught, because they feared what you'd do with it. So now, you start to notice the shift. Tiny at first. A stranger reaches out with the exact opportunity you envisioned. A conversation lands in your lap that confirms your inner work. The thing that once felt 1,000,000 miles away is suddenly breathing down your neck. This is not coincidence. This is confirmation. The loops are closing. The reality you used to imagine is now showing up in real time. You've collapsed the wave into a particle. The possibility has become physical. Your dream has entered this dimension. But here's the truth. Few understand. This is not the end. This is the beginning of a new era of power. Because now, your outer world is no longer a battleground. It's a mirror. And what shows up is no longer random. It's precise. It's you, in physical form. You want to know what you're broadcasting? Look around. Your environment, your bank account, your habits, your network, your emotional baseline. All of it is the receipt of your past vibration. But now, as the architect, as the transmitter, as the one who remembers the rules of the game, you realize something chilling. You were never waiting on life. Life was waiting on you. And the moment you aligned, it delivered. That version of you who used to dream in silence, that person is gone. Replaced by a sovereign creator who no longer asks, hopes, or waits. You command, you collapse, you create. And that power isn't something you flaunt. It's something you wear, like armor forged in your own becoming. But let me warn you, now that the field is collapsing in your favor, complacency will come hunting. It will whisper, "You've made it. Slow down. You don't need to stay so disciplined. You've done enough." No. This is where the warriors separate from the wanderers. The tourists of transformation will celebrate too early and fall back. But the masters, the ones who bend timelines and architect legacies, they refine. Because the moment reality begins to shift, you double down. You don't let off the gas. You intensify the frequency. You reinforce the signal. You stretch the vision. You create a new blueprint, even bolder than the last. Why? Because you now know it works. You've seen the laws obey you. You've tasted manifestation through motion. And now, there's no going back. Reality conforms not once, but forever, as long as your alignment holds. You've become the center of gravity, the signal that commands respect, the vortex that pulls people, opportunities, and outcomes toward your orbit. You don't need to chase anymore. You walk, and the world rearranges itself around you. This is quantum collapse, the moment the universe kneels, not to you, the ego, but to you, the aligned vessel of destiny. So now, every room you enter feels different. People feel your presence before you speak. Doors open without knocking. The delays are gone. The resistance dissolves. And all that remains is motion, flow, certainty, dominion. Because your state is no longer a tool. It's a weapon. Your actions are no longer guesses. They're blueprints. And your results are no longer dreams. They're consequences. You've entered the rare territory most never touch. Not because it's hidden, but because it demands everything. And you gave it. You gave your comfort, your delusions, your old identity, your excuses, your softness. You burned it all and rose from the ash. And now, you don't just manifest the dream. You embody it. You don't just visualize the reality. You live it. You don't just chase the outcome. You become the cause. This is the moment where everything changes. Not because the world is different, but because you are. You are the frequency. You are the signal. You are the architect. And the field has responded accordingly. So stand still for a moment. Feel it. Not with ego, but with reverence. Then lift your chin and build the next vision. Because now you know. Reality is yours to collapse. The dream was never out there. It was buried inside you, waiting for permission, waiting for fire, waiting for war. And that war just ended. You didn't win by luck. You won because you earned it. You walked through the fire of each phase, not perfectly, not without pain, but with power. Let's recap, so it burns deeper. You began with ideation, not just imagining a better life, but forging it in the furnace of clarity. You stopped living in default and started designing in truth. Then came observation, where you turned inward with ruthless precision, dissecting the signals you've been unconsciously broadcasting. No more lies, just data, just raw self-awareness. Then you moved to cleansing, where you picked up the blade and cut the decay, the people, the habits, the environments, the weak identities. You stopped negotiating with your own captivity. In calibration, you stepped into the skin of your future self. You walked like it, talked like it, felt like it was already yours, because in the field of frequency, it was. Then came frequency lock, the daily war against emotional chaos. You stopped bending to circumstances. You held the signal. You stabilized your storm. And then, magnetic action, where you stopped chasing. You moved from identity. You acted like the outcome was already confirmed, because it was. Finally, in quantum collapse, you witnessed the world bend. Reality reshaped itself around your frequency, and the field, after all the resistance, obeyed. This is what it means to live as a conscious architect. Not to react, but to create. Not to beg life for scraps, but to demand what you've already become. But listen closely. This is not a moment to celebrate. This is a moment to double down, because the field is still listening, still watching, still waiting to see if you'll flinch. Don't. Do not lower your signal. Do not forget what you've built. Do not retreat to the version of you that used to wish for this. You're not the same. You can't go back. You've already seen what happens when alignment becomes identity. Now it's your responsibility to maintain it, to amplify it, to build the next frequency, the next vision, the next impossible. Because you no longer live inside of circumstance. You broadcast reality. You are the transmitter, the cause, the goddamn gravity. This is no longer about dreaming. This is about dominion. So don't look for signs. Become the sign. Don't wait for a shift. Be the shift. And don't ever forget, you don't chase the dream. You collapse into it.